Thank you for joining us and taking your time off on your busy day to come to our Teacher Talk series today for our Teacher Network. Can you please, I have a few questions for you today, and if you are ready, let me know.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Thank you, Alexis. I'm happy to be with you today.
I'm happy as well. Okay. The first question is, can you please take some time to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what you currently do?
Sure. Well, my name is Dana Lomax, and I currently serve as a dual language teacher on special assignment in Ventura Unified School District. And so that means that I support dual language educators in 6 through 12, helping them with curriculum, professional learning, helping them understand the program and get resources. We want to remember in dual language that our programs exist to serve our multilingual learners, so we keep them at the forefront of our thoughts as we guide our programs, and that's part of my role as well. I also support world language teachers and coordinate the state seal of biliteracy for Ventura, which elevates the status of being bilingual to, we honor math and English a lot, and that's wonderful, but we also want to elevate world languages and being bilingual, so I help coordinate those efforts. And then I'm working a lot with anti-bias and anti-racist education. I facilitate a work group where we're trying to streamline policies and procedures to make sure that we are moving to being more anti-bias and anti-racist in our district, as well as coordinating ethnic studies.
Wow, I love that. That's a lot that you have, and I'm so impressed. Can you please share your educational journey after college? And how did you choose the school that you're currently working in, if you are?
Well, thank you, Alexis. Yeah, well, and I guess I should add too that I also lecture at Cal State Channel Islands and UCSB, so I'll put that in there too. Well, so I'm a first generation college student. My parents didn't go to college; they didn't have that opportunity, and so I started in junior college. I went to Ventura College and a few other community colleges, and then transferred to UCLA. I didn't even know how to apply to the university, so I applied. I thought it would be great to take some time off after my senior year, so I applied to the university for spring semester. And I didn't know that a lot of colleges don't allow you to apply for spring semester as a freshman. So not a lot of guidance there. So I started at Ventura College, which was a great option for me. I'm a real believer in community college. And so I started there and then went to UCLA and was an English major. And when I graduated, I thought, wow, okay, I did this hard thing that no one in my family has really done before. So the world is going to be waiting for me and I'm going to have all these job offers, because that's kind of what we're told, right? Is that you graduate from college and then you get a job. And so I came out with my BA in English and looked around, and it wasn't it wasn't like the world was like totally opened up to me, right? So a friend of mine said, hey, there's this job opening in migrant education, and I spoke Spanish because that was important in my family. My dad was Mexican Irish, and so I call myself a Chicana, but I know I have total white privilege, like total white privilege, but it's part of my ethnicity. So but so I spoke Spanish. I said, come and, check out this job in migrant ed. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I got to work with people, and I was pretty set at that time. I thought, this is great. And then also I knew that one day I'd want to have a family, and that I didn't know a lot about children, that I hadn't been around a lot of, not a lot of younger, really younger siblings or nieces or nephews or anything like that. So I wanted to learn about kids as well. So that was important to me.
Nice, thank you. Next question is, what made you want, actually that kind of like goes in with like, why did you want to become this profession? What do you think is the best or most rewarding part of your job?
Without a doubt, the best part for sure of my job is the people, the students, the families, my colleagues, community members, getting to meet people like you, Alexis, like collaborating. I love middle school. Middle school is what I did for many years. 20 years, I was a middle school teacher for English language arts, dual language, and history.
Mhm.
And middle school is so much fun. It gets a bad rap, but it's I don't know why. Middle schoolers are great. They have a strong sense of justice, and they're really waking up to themselves and each other. So and also, some people say that they're an old soul. I don't believe I believe I'm a middle school soul. So it worked out really well for me to be in middle school, and we got along really well, and I laughed every day. I felt like I had, the whole range of emotions every day in middle school. And it was a joy to be in the middle school classroom. So to be learning from students and learning with them, and also being able to help guide some of their thinking and sometimes, right? And to co-create with them. Um, really, really, amazing to be able to do that. And also, I say that teaching is my art, my passion, and my activism. And it's such a creative profession. We get to, for those of us who are into art and into creativity, we have opportunities to think deeply and co-create with our students. And so I don't think that gets talked about a lot in terms of education, about the creativity that's available and the art, the aspect of being a teacher and an
Mhm.
educator, is that we really have opportunities to create with our students. And that's a beautiful aspect of the profession.
What is one of your favorite parts, or I guess like favorite lessons that you enjoy teaching? Like, is there a specific unit, and like you were mentioning, bringing your creativity into it?
So one that comes to mind is it was called, let me think for a second. What was the name of this unit? Oh, yes. It was called What Does It Mean to Be Educated? And so again, this comes from that idea that I was a first generation student, and many of my students, their parents hadn't gone to college. So here we are, as I was poised as an eighth grade teacher to be saying, okay, now you're getting ready for high school, and that's the grades are going to count for college. And I realized I thought back to myself as an eighth grader, and what did that mean to me? The smartest people in my life were my grandparents and my parents, the people I revered, and they hadn't had those experiences. So what is so great about this, right? When really my dad was in construction and my mom was a homemaker and my grandmothers were both homemakers, and they were the smartest people in my life, and they didn't go to college. So why was college so important, right? And so I felt like my students might have the same question. So we created a unit together where they chose an adult in their life and then interviewed them and asked them where they got the skills. We watched Abuelita's Kitchen. I don't know if you've seen it, but Abuelita makes all these great
Mhm.
recipes. And every time she starts, she goes, "Oh, everybody knows how to make this." And we don't, right? She's like, she's making chile con carne, and she's like, "Oh, everybody knows how to make this." And I stop the video and say, "Who know? How many of you know how to make it?" And not all the hands go up, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay, let's learn." And it's like, is she educated? What does it mean to be educated? Yes, abuelita is educated, right? And so think about the adults in our lives. What do they know how to do, and how did they learn it? And so students interviewed, one girl interviewed her grandpa, who made crosses for churches, and he did woodworking and made it big. And so she made a video of what he could do. Another, a student from Syria, her dad played the drums. And so some Syrian instrument. And so she interviewed him. And so we had and another one, her brother played the guitar, and he came in and played. Another student, her grandma said she makes the best salsa in the world. And so she brought the salsa in and told us how to make it. And then we asked, as part of that interview, students asked if they should go to college and why. And every adult in their life said yes and talked about why it would be important for them. And so they were learning from their loved ones why college was important, instead of it having coming from me. It
Mhm.
was beautiful. So that's the kind of creativity. And it wasn't beautiful because of what I made. It was beautiful because of what my students made with their families. So
Gosh, I love that. Another one is or sorry, this is going to be a little the opposite. Or not the opposite, but what is the most challenging part of being a teacher?
well, for me, it's the one of the most challenging parts of being a teacher is finding balance. It seems like there's always more to do, especially when we're new to the profession. You have
Mhm.
grading, you have planning, there are emails, conferencing with students, meeting with families. It just feels like it can be overwhelming. So, and we have to put our health and family first.
Yes.
And I think that's really hard. I mean, we say that,
Mhm.
and we're told to indulge in self-care, not indulge, to take care of ourselves. But the system doesn't always, that's not systemic. It's not put in place that teachers are cared for. So we have to put ourselves first, and it can be a challenge. So I would just say to teachers who are new to the profession, and some of us veterans as well, and myself included, take that walk. Go for that walk every day. Don't miss your walk. Prioritize your walk. Eat well. Take the time to chop the vegetables. And because sometimes we're tired when we get
Yeah.
home, right? And you still have to grade and plan for tomorrow, because we know if we don't plan, it's going to be a rough day tomorrow. And so, I think that balance is really challenging, but health and family first.
I like that. Thank you. And can you tell us a little about the collaborating for peace?
Oh, sure. Well, a lot of the work that I've done is, like I said, teaching is also part of my activism, and teaching is a political act. That's from Freire. Anything that we do, whether even not taking a stance is a stance, right? So as teachers, we can be community changers, and we are change agents. I feel that educators can make the weather in their community, right? Not just in their classrooms, but in their community, right? And so um, when I started teaching, I tell this story a lot. I thought I was doing social justice work by teaching all about oppression.
Mhm.
So one day it was like the end of the year, and it was eighth grade, and we had talked about, the Civil War, and I mean, just Anne Frank, and all of the injustices that are part of the curriculum in eighth grade. And a student raised her hand and said, "Miss Lomax, this whole year has been about how we're not supposed to treat each other. When are you going to teach us about how we are supposed to treat each other?" And I was about 10 years into my profession at that time, and into my career. And that made me stop and think about, how do we create community? How do we know how we are supposed to treat each other? And so collaborating for peace came out of really my desire to answer Christelle's question of how do we treat each other, and how do we work for peace. And that led me to Learning for Justice, which is a wonderful organization. If new teachers haven't seen Learning for Justice, they have a wealth of lesson plans and information, and um, all kinds of resources, to create more harmonious classrooms and to create more loving classrooms, including the social justice standards. I think that we don't talk about the social justice standards a lot, but they focus on identity, diversity, justice, and action, and how we can teach those and assess those in the classroom. And so, collaborating for peace is the work that I do to help create peace with ourselves, each other, and the planet. And I call in community like Learning for Justice and other resources to help do that. And I just think that's a really important piece. I don't know that we're always told that we have lots of power as educators in our community, and how we use that matters.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Another question is, can you share how you teach dual language instructions in social and emotional learning?
Sure. Well, dual language is, our program in Ventura Unified started in, I think, about 2000, and it's a K through 12 program. And at the middle school level, I'll speak to that because that's really my area of expertise. The elementary program starts out at 90-10, but by the time students get to seventh and eighth grade, their 50% of the core is in English and 50% is in Spanish. So we really we've made so many great shifts in dual language, where now we're saying there is no hierarchy of language. One language is not better than another. And in fact, home, we have, they say we have three. Jamila Liscott, I think is how you say it. She says there are three levels of English: friends, home, and school.
Mhm.
And one is not better than the other as well. So academic English is not better than what the language that students bring from home. It's different. It's a different repertoire. So we're expanding students' repertoire in academic language in both English and Spanish in dual language programs. And then the idea is that students will have grade level achievement in both languages. They'll be bilingual and biliterate, and that they'll have sociocultural competency, so that they're able to navigate the world. And I think, again, we can say build peace, because there's a peacemaker named Coleman McCarthy, who says we're graduating peace illiterates, people who don't know how to get along, right? And so I think dual language also has that sociocultural competency piece, which is key in helping us be able to build community, and the kind of community that we want for ourselves and for our children.
Wow, that's so amazing. Thank you. And then I have one more question before we end our session. It's what advice would you give somebody who's pursuing a career in the educational field, and what should they expect?
So my advice for people new to the profession is find your people, find your community. It can be lonely to navigate
Mhm.
all of the pieces of education alone. So don't do it alone. Find your people who have similar interests, who have they don't even have to be like-minded, right? But like I had colleagues who we might think differently, we might disagree about some issues, but that were our passion for kids and for serving our community was on, on par. And so find people who are interested in doing that work, and you will make friends, and again have balance. I think that that's important as well. Teaching is more than content, right? It really is, and building those relationships with our students and building community with our colleagues, like I said, finding your people, but also our students, right? Building our relationships with students and families is so important. And it really will help us. I think we've been in a time when our country feels fairly divided, and we have opportunities as educators to be change makers and to bring our community closer together. So find your people, listen to your students, build relationships. And we talk about relationships a lot in education, but think about, how are you building those relationships? Are you sitting in community circle? It's more than meeting our students at the door, right? That's just a high, and that's a good start. But then how are we getting to know them? What opportunities in the curriculum do we have to hear their voices, to hear what their interests are, for them to for the essential questions to be big enough that all identities are being welcomed in, and really honoring the funds of knowledge. Tara Yosa's work about funds of knowledge, that students bring their linguistic funds of knowledge, their aspirational funds of knowledge. How are we making space for our students to bring that community cultural wealth into the classroom? I would say focus there. That would be some advice. Focus there, and build that community with your colleagues and your students and families, and and just really focus on who's in front of you to be loved.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for joining us. I look forward, and the team as well, we look forward to collaborating with you again. And I'm just so excited for you, and best luck in the future as well.
Thank you, Alexis. It's been fun.
Thank you.